After years of observations, I've come to realize that the quiet ones among us really know a thing or two. While life buzzes with chatter and chaotic conversations, these individuals calmly soak it all in. They're not disengaged. Instead, they're like sponge-like detectives, taking note of every little detail while the rest of us fill the air with hot air. Their silence isn't a void. It's a treasure trove of insights just waiting to be discovered. When a quiet person speaks, you can bet your bottom dollar it's worth your undivided attention. Words aren't just flung around carelessly. To them, each syllable is like gold, a precious resource spent with great consideration. Being labeled too quiet can feel like a strike against one's character. But what a misunderstanding. Quietness is wisdom dressed in stealth, a cloak that the loud and boisterous often overlook, much to their detriment. The psychology behind the non-talkers is intriguingly complex. Their silence isn't about lacking thoughts. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. These contemplative souls are juggling a parade of experiences and feelings in their heads. They're not just choosing their words, they're figuring out the best way to voice layers of meaning that others may miss entirely. It's not just overthinking, it's a finely tuned form of emotional intelligence at play. Hey everyone, welcome to Psychologist Jeep, the quiet corner of the internet where silent thinkers, deep feelers, and people who speak more in their minds than out loud finally feel at home. Here, we talk about the psychology of the quiet ones, the ones who listen more than they speak, who carry whole conversations inside their heads, and who find peace in silence rather than noise. So, if you've ever been told to speak up but felt more comfortable observing the world instead, this place is for you. Before we dive in, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who gets you, and drop a comment telling us where you're tuning in from. Our quiet voices reach farther than we think. What's remarkable is how our society rewards those who are loud and unapologetic, applauding opinions that resonate like thunder and personalities that dominate the room. Meanwhile, the quiet ones are the hidden gems. They inherently grasp that depth can't always be measured by volume. Wild ideas don't need a booming voice to make their mark. Often, the most impactful statements are those that never escape the lips. Consider that friend who's perpetually reserved. They're the understated presence in a crowded space. Yet when they do finally share their thoughts, everyone huddles in closer. There's something magnetic about their silence. Not because they're mysterious, but because it commands respect. Their presence is palpable, radiating a sense of gravity that draws others in, making them the anchors in a sea of noise. Quiet people possess a unique advantage. They notice subtleties that escape others. A person's fleeting expression during a conversation, the tad of tension in the air when someone walks in, or that brief moment of hesitancy before engaging. To them, it's like decoding a silent language, understanding intention before it's spoken. This isn't witchcraft, it's simply a gift cultivated from years of paying attention rather than interjecting. But here's a fun twist. Just because they maintain a serene exterior doesn't mean their minds aren't a flurry of activity. For many quiet types, silence is like a protective shield against their internal chaos. Where thoughts clash like a wild orchestra, they pause before they speak, seeking order and harmony from the symphony raging within them. This quest for balance can create a beautiful tapestry of words when they eventually do share. Moreover, it's often believed that quieter individuals are more introverted. But let's clear the air on that one. It's about conserving energy, not being hermits. They thrive in solitude, finding tranquility amid their own thoughts. While excessive noise, be it verbal or emotional, can drain them faster than you can say, "Why are you so quiet?" So, the next time you encounter a silent observer, remember, they're not just zoning out, there's a world within them. And when they finally decide to speak, it's likely to be profound. They choose their words like a painter selects colors on a canvas with caution and intent. For a quiet individual, every word matters, and they know once it's out, there's no putting it back. Their silence isn't merely an absence of sound, but a sanctuary built from childhood misunderstandings. Time and again, speaking out led to mockery, so they adapted, learning to listen and observe as their preferred forms of engagement. As they grow, this careful habit morphs into a trusted survival mechanism. In a world where responses often come before understanding, silence becomes a haven. It's not a sign of weakness, but rather a refuge where profound thoughts simmer and mature. The quiet has a secret weapon, the superpower of deliberation. In a society that prizes shouting, those who engage in thoughtful pausing wield genuine strength. They're skilled in the art of self-regulation, channeling emotions without letting them hijack their speech. While the majority rush to fill every silence with chatter, the contemplatives thrive in it. It's where their creativity flourishes, where ideas begin to take shape. Many great thinkers and innovators wandered through quietude before they crafted their masterpieces. It's within this stillness that understanding nourishes itself, nurturing insights that the cacophony of life often drowns out. The truth, after all, isn't whispered in chaos. It dances in the serenity of calm reflection. But let's be real, living quietly today is akin to swimming against the tide. Individuals are quick to brand silence as awkwardness, as if every lull must be filled with noise. Those who embrace stillness are often labeled as aloof or disconnected. Yet, what if that silence isn't a social faux pas? What if it's a more nuanced rhythm, one that listens deeply and understands profoundly, where thoughts are carefully nurtured before being shared? And when the quiet ones do finally unleash their thoughts, it's a moment of revelation. Each carefully chosen word is the result of filtration through layers of empathy, truth, and genuine consideration. They don't seek applause. They aim for authentic expression. Research from the University of Helsinki emphasizes that such introspective souls tend to wrestle with higher brain activity tied to empathy. Their silence isn't a void. It's a vibrant tapestry of processing thoughts and feelings. However, this powerful introspection comes with its own set of challenges. Seeing and feeling so much can become burdensome, like carrying a weight that others can't see. Quiet people absorb the atmosphere around them like sponges. They soak up tension, sadness, and energy during conversations. That's why solitude is a balm for their souls. It's not loneliness, but a vital detoxification. In their moments of stillness, they find solace, allowing the chaos around them to fade into nothingness. Ultimately, when they love, they do so with an intensity that resonates deeply because it's real and unpretentious. Their caring isn't superficial. It's the kind that roots itself in understanding and reflection. The beauty of being quiet lies not in the lack of words, but in the richness of experience filled with vibrant emotions and thoughtful connections waiting to burst forth when the moment is right. It's a delightful paradox of being softly present in a world that seems obsessed with noise. When the quiet ones show up for someone, it's not about feeling obligated. This is a deep-seated soul connection. Forget small talk and would-be pleasantries. These individuals have a way of conveying substance. If you've ever encountered someone who whispers yet leaves a hefty impact in your thoughts, you've met someone who cherishes silence as a canvas, inviting you to paint it with your own truths. Their listening skills don't aim for a response, but rather aim to witness you. It's an unusual gift. But then there's the irony of quiet folks. While they yearn for connection, they're petrified of coming across as misunderstood. They desire recognition without the blaring spotlight. They wish to share their thoughts but dread being drowned out by the noise of everyday chatter. So they often retreat, not because they don't care, but because they care too much. Their emotions simmer beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to be expressed, transforming words into something almost sacred when they finally do surface. For those who resonate with this quiet nature, here's a little reminder. You owe no one the loudness of your existence. Your worth doesn't hinge on the volume of your voice. Silence is your superpower, a distinct language that inherently announces, I'm here, I see you, I've got you. Sometimes, a quiet presence speaks volumes far beyond mere words. Ultimately, communication isn't about how much you articulate, but rather how profoundly you connect. And trust me, those who dwell in quiet waters often forge the deepest bonds. even if the world fails to recognize their brilliance. Yet behind this serene facade lies something even more compelling. Deep within the tranquility, there exists a backdrop of unresolved noise and internal clamor formed in past interactions where little listening took place, and feelings erupted like fireworks. Many quiet souls learned early on that shielding their peace meant retreating into their minds. In this withdrawn state, silence becomes a sense of belonging, a home where they feel safe. Here's a psychological twist. Many of these individuals didn't start as quiet beings. Life has taught them the language of adaptive silence as a defense mechanism. They've realized over time that saying less often keeps them safe. But this evolved silence doesn't stop at protection. It morphs into a core part of their identity. That's why quiet people can often feel so enigmatic. It's the legacy of a rich inner world that the outside rarely glimpses. Yet therein lies both beauty and sorrow. These reserved souls experience feelings intensely, yet their expressions resemble shooting stars, brief and sporadic. In a clamorous setting, they may fade into the background, easily overlooked. Ironically, those often invisible individuals are the very ones capable of sensing your emotions better than most. They can read the nuances in your smile when it doesn't quite reach your eyes, or detect the forced laughter layered over heartache, existing in a realm of keen observation, not reactive banter. In the world of psychology, there's this fascinating concept known as high sensitivity, or HSP, which stands for highly sensitive person. It turns out that about 20% of us possess this intriguing trait. Those who do are like walking sensory magnifying glasses, picking up on even the tiniest of details. They can read a room like it's the latest bestseller, catching every tonal shift and micro-expression in the atmosphere. It's as if their nervous system is wired without a filter, constantly analyzing a barrage of signals. In the midst of this whirlwind, they often choose to speak less, resulting in their thoughts swirling in a sea of unprocessed data that can wear them out. Yet, don't let their quiet demeanor fool you. Silence is not synonymous with passivity. Remember, the introspective ones can be powerful thinkers. Take Albert Einstein, for example, who famously declared that a quiet life can spark creative brilliance. That's right. For these sensitive souls, silence isn't empty. It's akin to being in a creative incubator. It allows ideas the necessary space they need, becoming crystal clear and refined over time. So, when a quiet person finally decides to bless you with their words, it's like receiving a treasure crafted through reflection and contemplation, leading to an impactful exchange. However, with the gifts of their silence comes a bit of loneliness. In this rapid-paced world, people often misinterpret this stillness as a lack of interest. They think quiet individuals are distancing themselves, when, in reality, they're observing everything closely. These contemplators are the ones zooming in on details that slip past others, studying the nuances of conversations like artists perfecting their craft. Their approach to dialogue is far from instinctual. It's deliberate, making them incredibly powerful communicators, just not in the traditional loud and boisterous way. What's truly remarkable is how quiet folks can excel in non-verbal communication. Their eyes and presence tell stories that words might muddle. Imagine being comforted by someone who doesn't need to speak. Their empathy shines through in the way they listen intently, driven by a desire to understand rather than waiting to talk. This quality makes them memorable. Their attentiveness is often evident in how they recall the smallest details you might forget, the things you said weeks ago. Their silent dedication is an art form in itself. Despite the strengths linked to their quietude, silence can cast a shadow, too. For some, it transforms into a wall, a means of control to shield vulnerability. They equate silence with the barrier, fearing that letting words slip will expose them or open old wounds. As a result, they might bottle everything up until their silence weighs heavier than any sound. This perplexing state creates a tug-of-war between wanting to express themselves and the fear of being misunderstood. It's like being a ghost in a crowd, visible but unseen. This internal conflict can stir up serious overthinking and anxiety. It's not a weakness, rather, it's a delicate dance of emotions where they juggle feeling deeply yet maintaining composure. It's tough when your heart runs wild but your lips stay sealed. The chasm formed between the feelings they harbor and the words they articulate can morph into a hollow ache. Yet, within that very quiet rests a profound teacher, imparting lessons about mindfulness, empathy, and the beauty of introspection. Quiet individuals might be rarer, but they fill the world with wisdom that often goes unheard. In the loud world we live in, there lies a hidden treasure within silence that many overlook. It's like that secret club where only the quietest members are allowed in. These individuals grasp an unspoken truth. Not everything needs to be vocalized to convey meaning. They have this fantastic ability to soak up life's little nuances, those tiny sighs of defeat or the dazzling gleam in someone's eyes when they're lost in their passion. Quiet people get to experience this symphony of emotions that most miss in the chaos. While the world rushes to fill every pause with chatter, the silent sages observe and absorb. They find existence isn't merely a collection of loud moments but a rich tapestry woven with feelings that speaks louder than the loudest shout. It's a delicate balance. Being aware of so much can feel like a blessing and a curse. The more you notice, the more you realize how fragile life can be. Truths that may burden you but also offer profound insights. Being quiet comes with a unique perspective on life. These folks don't just hear words, they read the subtleties, picking up on the unsteady tremor in someone's bravado or the peaceful glow of shared moments. There's a captivating strength in holding back, not needing to dominate every discussion. Silence, in its power, allows for contemplative joy, suggesting that confidence isn't just about volume but presence. The hum of conversations often blurs the wisdom that silence brings, so the next time you stumble upon a reserved person, don't write them off as timid or uninterested. Perhaps they're simply savoring the moment, nurturing a genuine interest in what you're conveying. They're like attentive mirrors, reflecting back your own thoughts without the messy clutter of excessive dialogue, proving that sometimes being quiet is the most generous act you can offer. To those who consider themselves quiet souls, remember that the world is in desperate need of your gift. Your stillness cuts through the cacophony, and your ability to listen enriches the conversation. Embrace your unique role. You're not a misfit because you don't chatter endlessly. Instead, your approach to connection is just different, deeper, and more poignant. You contribute to a well-rounded society by balancing its frenzy. The reality is that the most memorable interactions arise not from the most vocal participants, but from those who resonate with understanding and empathy. Beats and pauses, gestures and glances, all contribute to the language of feeling. These silent ambassadors carry a weight that transcends words, comforting and connecting in ways that sometimes leave us speechless. Finally, to all the quiet ones out there, wear your silence like a badge of honor. Resist the urge to fill every gap in conversation. Instead, relish in the comfort of stillness. Life doesn't wear away when words falter. Instead, it breathes in those hushed moments where understanding flourishes. In that beautiful lull, wisdom blooms, waiting patiently for those willing to listen, a powerful reminder of the language that thrives in silence.